So someone has made the decision today that they want to think like a winner, and that someone is you. This decision alone is going to shift everything for you. This is called the law of correspondence. When you make a new decision, you will get new results. So when you decide to be a winner, there's no going back. Most people will live in this space called the comfort zone, and that's where most people will stay the rest of their lives, and the comfort zone is where people fail because they don't get out of it. It takes a lot of guts to move out of that. But I think if the other option is to fail, then I'm going to take my chances. And this is all taught to us, right? Work hard so you can get a job and be stable. The system will never teach you how to win against the system. It will only teach you how to stay oppressed, stay small, and to not create a fuss, be a really good worker, be a cog in the machine. And I myself was a really good worker until one day they decided they didn't need me anymore. So very few people can actually win in this system. And even when we're doing really well, like I was, we can still fail. So the answer to all of this is to break out of it and learn how to achieve a winning mindset. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you have. You just need to be willing to change your thoughts to align with this new way of thinking. We're all capable of this. If you're thinking, well, I'm just some guy, what are you talking about becoming a winner or whatever? Well, okay, but every winner is also just some guy. Did you ever think about that? Nobody is above you or beneath you. We're all on the same level playing field, and there are so many so-called great equalizers these days, so many ways to make money, so many ways to find success and to meet people. When I started to talk to the people who I really admired and held on the pedestal, I realized how normal and human they actually are. They're just like anyone else in that they have their own struggles and challenges, but they didn't allow their struggles to take over their life. They put in the work to learn from their mistakes, and they just kept creating new iterations and kept going. This is how I see self-improvement as a whole. We're constantly working on new iterations of ourselves so that our eventual output can match our own capacity. And then there are also other things that these so-called winners do that most people don't. If you haven't caught on already, my name is May, and I help you level up physically, mentally, and spiritually. So if you want to level up in 2025, you better hit the subscribe button so you can follow my channel for more videos like these, and like this video at any point if you found it helpful. I also have a Discord community for people who want to meet other like-minded people, and I have everything linked in the description. But let's go back to the topic. One of these things that winners do is, instead of focusing on how massive their goals are, they build everyday systems or a framework that works really well to eventually support not only their goal, but also their brains. This is one of the major ways I'm looking to support my New Year goals in 2025. Let's work on creating new systems together, and you can get more done by using Notion as your second brain for both your professional and personal life. Notion is an easy-to-use platform to help systemize your goals to reality, manage every part of your life in one platform, and you can also personalize it to the way that you think, you plan, and work best. And you can make it cute and aesthetic so that every time you open your Notion page to work on your systems, it brings you joy. Notion is an app that adapts to how you think and work. So if you're not sure how to get started, you can literally watch me break down how to create an entire second brain homepage in minutes in this other video that I did about getting organized with Notion. Or you can go into their marketplace and choose from thousands of pre-made templates, but I made 2 templates for free, which I shared on that video, which you can also download and try for yourself. You can get started with Notion for free at my link in the description down below, or by scanning this QR code. Thank you so much to Notion for sponsoring this video. Maybe not everything that happens to you is deserved, but eventually you will get everything that you deserve. This includes whether you stay in this system or create your own system. People who have a winning mindset are also lone wolf types typically, or they feel like the black sheep of their family. This is not by coincidence at all, and it's for a good reason, because they don't think like most people. The biggest differentiator is whether they choose to go down that path of comfort or if they choose to forge their own path, even though it's a harder way of doing things. The whole thing behind you getting what you deserve eventually, this is actually a concept that I struggled with at first, but then I realized that whatever happens in your life, whatever you choose to decide to do will always come back around to you in some strange and amazing way. You can't control it, but it's super magnificent, as in like, wow, that random thing that I studied 10 years ago is suddenly super relevant in what I'm doing now in a completely different and unexpected way. So knowing that everything you've done in your life is actually so unique to you because nobody else has lived your life before, you need to go figure out whether you're going to take that unique experience to then go and live a safe and expected life, or a harder and unexpected life, but you reap the rewards either way. You're still going to reap what you sow. Rather than thinking, oh, I'm going to be comfortable and stay in my lane, you should think about how you can bring your own unique experiences and all the things you learn in life to create your own success or find something that people need. And then maybe you can tap into that resource to find your purpose and your drive and your motivation and everything that you stand behind. But also don't worry about what's not going to happen, because I always get some randos in the comments being like, but what if you're a starving child in a war-torn country? Okay, there's no what ifs, because chances of someone like that watching my video right now is very low, and you're probably typing this troll comment from your couch. So don't worry about a made up imagined scenario, because it's not real. So focus on what's actually real and stop making excuses for being afraid to try something new and make mistakes. Let me repeat that. Don't make excuses for being scared of making mistakes. The comfortable life is where you don't make as many mistakes, and yet you still choose to play the victim. You still make excuses for yourself as to why you can't do it. But then at the end of the day, you're still going to be making mistakes. So what's the difference? I've made a million mistakes, and so has everyone else, and so have you. So why don't we normalize making mistakes? Your shame around making mistakes is not going to help you. You're only going to make mistakes if you're actually doing something. For most people, they see that as a bad thing. They don't have any pain tolerance because they're so used to being comfortable, and they quit before things start getting better for them. And I've been through some insane things in my life, and I'm in a pretty good place because of it. Understanding how every time you start something new at the beginning, it's always going to be the hardest, because chances are you're not going to be very good at it, and you've never done it before, so it's your first time doing it. Of course it's gonna suck. But the more you do it, the tougher you get. So now eventually, even for myself, I handle my own matters extremely well and with precision, because I've been messy in the past. I've had traumas of my own. I've had to solve that. That's truly what matters. Not the fact that there are privileged people out there in the world somewhere who are so sheltered by their privilege. That's like none of your concern, and you don't know these people. Don't worry about it. But if you can make your mistakes in a non-self-destructive way, that means you're not harming yourself. And if you harm someone else, knowing to learn how to do better next time and give yourself the grace for knowing better now, then at least you're back on the right path. We're all gonna make mistakes, and that's okay. That's why I say have blind faith in yourself. All of the miracles you're waiting for is in the work that you're avoiding. Nobody stays a loser unless they choose to. Distractions are also inevitable, but where your attention goes is a choice. I always say this, our energy goes where our attention flows. So shifting the way that you place your attention is the best thing that you can do for yourself, and your future self will thank you so much for it. Right now, you're deciding to put in the work to improve your life, and that's something that you should always remind yourself of when you begin to be hard on yourself. Do not beat yourself up over wasting time or not doing anything or not doing what you should be doing, because it's not easy to realize and accept that you've been holding yourself back the entire time because you're being so hard on yourself, rather than actually forgiving yourself and then taking the time to move on and do things that actually matter, do things that improve the quality of your life. Make sure that you are also celebrating your wins, even if it's small, because that's another step towards giving yourself the life that you've always dreamed of, the life that you always want. Step by step, you're going to get there eventually, but the road looks like this. You need to celebrate yourself for every single little good thing that happens to you, and even the bad things that happen, celebrate that too, because you are surviving, and despite everything that's going on, you're still doing very well. Being able to survive through tough times is actually a show of extreme bravery and strength. Your attention should go towards celebrating and being grateful for everything that you're about to do, not thinking about everything that you can't do. Sometimes our own strength can also be seeing the strengths of other people. That's an example of a good manager, by the way, where we can bring out the best in other people so that a team of people can achieve an even bigger goal. Sometimes it's not always about you and what you can do, because we can't do everything. The greatest winners can also leverage the talents of thousands of super smart people and create the biggest brands in the world, for example. Whatever it is that you want to do, I want you to work backwards and see what kinds of skill sets that it takes to get there. Then go and build those skill sets. But no, that's not going to happen by tomorrow. It's probably going to happen in a year, but only if you take it one day at a time. And the way that we think about ourselves matters a lot, because many people out there, they think that their thoughts will vanish and they can think whatever they want, but it will eventually end up showing up in some way or another in their lives directly. If you don't deal with your thoughts are going to deal with you. You literally, with your decision making and your willpower, will create the environment and situations around you, even if it's not your attention. If your thoughts are out of control, your environment is going to be out of control. Our society will literally be both healthier and utopic if more people can understand this. If you can take the initiative to believe that you are completely responsible for the way that you see everything in your life, at first your environment might not change immediately. It takes time, just like how it took time to get to this current point. And yes, sometimes things happen and we face challenges in life, but your shift in the way that you see your life will start to create new pathways into a different future. How we see our situation is everything, and you don't get out of being chaotic by becoming even more chaotic. So if you're out of control, you can't control your mind, then everything else around you will be out of control. And you also notice that when people bottle things up in your head and they act like everything is fine even when it's not, it will always eventually burst. So you need to do the work to learn about your traumas, or else no matter what you do or how positive you are or how much you practice gratitude, it will always follow you. That emptiness, the sadness, whatever it is you need to actually deal with and face head on. You need to face your feelings to be able to know who you are. Your feelings are there to help you understand yourself. So don't let people tell you what your feelings are, or that your feelings are bad, or that you're too sensitive, you need to tone it down. Don't be afraid to face who you are, but obviously also control your feelings and manage it. I also can't stress how important it is to really thoroughly know who you are as a person, because people will literally try to project all kinds of insecurities and preconceived notions onto you unprovoked, and you need to figure out if what they're trying to project onto you versus what you believe is actually the truth. That means knowing your identity, having a very strong concept of yourself, knowing your weaknesses, and not being impressionable, because an impressionable person is like sheep, and that's not what a winner does. People who are winners or tend to form their own paths, they will tend to lead the herd instead. They're shepherds. Anything that also builds self-concept will really help. Like, I used to be so obsessed with self-concept questionnaires, like writing down who I am, where I'm from, what have I done, what do I like. Also, personality type tests. I think that part of my own obsessions with things like astrology, for example, is also part of that desire of wanting to understand myself better, because a lot of it's also self-fulfilling prophecy. And I do believe that our earth and our stars do move in a way that gives our reality more meaning, but only if we choose to learn about it and believe in it. It's all about belief systems. I mean, I think that if it can literally affect the weather, then it can literally affect the way people behave. And when you get to know yourself really well, you will also get to the point where you're not taking on other people's fear or pettiness or other people's darkness or their shadows. That's not yours to absorb like a sponge. And therefore, it is not your responsibility. Other people's problems are not your problems unless somehow it involves you, but for the most part, it's not. Your responsibility to build a winning mindset is to expand and grow and shine so that you overshadow everything else that's worrying you, and let yourself vibrate higher and rise up so that you stop letting yourself down. That is your responsibility. So don't get caught up with other people's responsibilities. They got their own thing going on. Don't get caught up in that. Also, exposure therapy is one of my greatest hacks to level up. Whatever you're scared of, expose yourself to more of it. In fact, if you want to upgrade your life, expose yourself to places where you see your upgraded higher self hanging out in. Physical spaces are so important. This is why very rich people hang out in members clubs. One thing you can do, for example, instead of drinking coffee at home every single day, occasionally you can make a small investment to order it at a nice fancy cafe or at a hotel, maybe once a week. Let that energy of being in that place inspire you. Just placing yourself physically in that space, you're opening yourself up to more opportunities and a new mindset. You will notice that new environment and notice all the conversations happening around you. That small investment might turn into a million opportunities through the butterfly effect. You will eventually become so used to being in a nice space like that you can interact with people there, you can mingle within that space. When I was in college, I would go to a really nice nearby beautiful hotel in Greenwich Village or Tribeca and just order some coffee and study in the lobby. I would also chat with people who work at the space, and I chat with their guests. I met a lot of interesting people like this, and I also felt a lot more centered and feeling like I have the power to make these decisions on where I can let myself go eventually, because it reminds me not to settle, that I get to belong in certain spaces and not feel like an imposter. Eventually, I moved out of my tiny dorm and ended up in a gorgeous loft apartment like this, and now I'm looking to upgrade. But, and I think this is an important point, don't beg anyone for your time. If you're not welcome somewhere, you will feel it in your heart, but don't be sad about it. God, the universe, whatever you believe in, they are protecting you from the bad energies of the space. And if you feel that way, you should respect yourself by removing your energy. Even in places like certain workspaces or school, if you're being bullied, it's like God is telling you, these are bad people. Go to another school or work on finding another job eventually, but protect your energy in the meantime. I'm telling you, the number of times where I was in bad environments and I would think to myself, maybe I should just start a side hustle, maybe I should just do something else. It's always ended up in I should have done that earlier. The way this separates the successful versus the unsuccessful is whether you have the discernment to open your eyes and look around you and notice your surroundings. Is the vibe off? Even the people that you're surrounded by, are they close-minded? Are they unsupportive? Friends who are obsessed with pettiness and gossip and drama? Do they have fixed mindsets? Are you working in the place of glass ceilings for yourself? You know that something about where you are isn't adding up to where you imagine is better for you and where you want to be, and you know for a fact that that place is out there. The point is to fully feel deserving of belonging somewhere, and if a place is not making you feel that way, then you need to leave. I've been in a ton of places where I didn't belong, and I felt the vibe every single time. In fact, I used to sneak into VIP areas and places and events when I was a teenager, and even though sometimes I do get away with it and nobody cares, occasionally I do get a vibe, like they're onto me, they're suspicious of who I am, and I hated that feeling, which is why now I work to earn my right to be somewhere. If you buy a coffee in a beautiful hotel or cafe or something like that, you are a customer and you belong there. And this is the energy that I want you to have going into 2025. Systematize, know exactly who you are, know that you're going to get everything that you deserve, and know that in order to separate yourself from the rest, you gotta think differently from the rest. And that is that. So I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me how you're going to be planning your 2025, what your goals are, what kind of energy you're going to be entering the new year with. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you to Notion for sponsoring this video, and I will see you in the next video.